The Purchase of a Lifetime by Jonathan Holloway, Rohit Kumar, and Kevin White. The Louisiana Purchase took place on April 3, 1803, between the United States and France. The price of this purchase was an overall total of $15 million. Although the original price of the purchase was $11.25 million, after paying war debts, the total amount became $15 million. The land acquired by the United States was approximately 828,000 square miles. In other words, the price of 828,000 square miles is less than the amount of money the state of Minnesota is willing to pay for its new football stadium. To put things into perspective, the new Viking Stadium will cost $770 million in the United States 2010 currency, whereas the $15 million spent on the purchase would now be equal to $219 million, also in the United States 2010 currency. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769. He was the self-proclaimed dictator of France during the time period in which the Louisiana Purchase occurred. Napoleon originally acquired the land from Spain after the Napoleonic Crusades. The plan for the newly acquired land was to build and maintain a sugar empire. At the time of the purchase, however, Napoleon was involved in a fierce war with Great Britain called the 7 Years' War. At this point, Napoleon realized that starting a sugar industry would be pointless because it would take time and money away from the war effort, which they desperately needed, along with the full mass of the French army, which at the time many troops were sent to America to protect the land. This led Napoleon to sell the territory. In a statement given by Napoleon, another reason is given why he chose to sell the Louisiana territory. This accession of territory affirms forever the power of the United States, and I have given England a maritime rival who sooner or later will humble her pride. Before the Louisiana Purchase took place, President Jefferson sent Robert Livingston to France to negotiate with Napoleon solely over the port of New Orleans. Livingston was granted $2 million to offer during negotiations. While the negotiations were taking place, Napoleon Bonaparte offered the entire Louisiana territory, but left the price open for bid. James Monroe was sent to France after Livingston to help with the negotiations and allow Mr. Livingston more money to buy the port of Louisiana. Livingston informed Monroe that the French were willing to sell the entire Louisiana territory. Monroe and Livingston then offered $11,250,000 to France for the Louisiana territory. Napoleon signed the agreement but stipulated that all previous war debts must be paid. The war debts were equal to $3,750,000, which when added together made $15 million. Although the purchase was technically made by James Monroe and Robert R. Livingston, the man who receives a majority of the credit is President Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was born on April 13, 1743, in Shadwell, Virginia. Jefferson had sent both men to France because Kentucky and Tennessee needed access to the port of New Orleans, otherwise they would be isolated from the rest of the outside world. This brought extreme conflict to Jefferson because he was an extremely strict constructionist. He was able to justify his actions by stating, "Every eye in the United States is now fixed on this affair of Louisiana. Perhaps nothing since the Revolutionary War has produced more uneasy sensations through the body of the nation." The Constitution was the reason for President Jefferson's internal conflicts, because the Constitution did not specifically allow for the purchase of land. Thomas Jefferson was a very strict constructionist, believing that if it's not in the Constitution, it's illegal. As a result of this belief, he also thought it was illegal to buy the land. However, he knew it was essential to the expansion of the United States. Not only was there an internal debate with Thomas Jefferson, but an external debate in Congress. Strict and loose constructionists were separated, as the loose felt that it was legal to buy the land, while the strict thought it was illegal. In the end, Thomas Jefferson won, and the Louisiana Territory was purchased. One of the reasons the Louisiana Territory was purchased was because the federal government wanted to expand agriculture. The expansion of agriculture in America would lead to better trade and would help the economy tremendously. To encourage people to move west and become farmers, the government would give each family 5 acres of land and a mule. Before the Louisiana Purchase, many Native American tribes lived on the purchased territory undisturbed. Unaware of their land being purchased, the Native Americans hoped to continue their way of life. However, they would soon be forced out of their land by the United States government. As a result of Thomas Jefferson ordering the purchase of Louisiana Territory, it allowed for the expansion of federal power in the government. Thomas Jefferson's decision gave future presidents the power to justify the elasticity of Article 1 in the Constitution. Specifically, Article 1, Section 8, which deals with the powers of Congress. This is the section of the Constitution where Jefferson exercises his elasticity. Thomas Jefferson's actions allowed for the Constitution to be viewed more flexibly rather than strictly. Also, the size of the United States was more than doubled by the addition of 828,000 square miles of land. In conclusion, the Louisiana Purchase was by far the largest real estate deal that America was ever involved in. If the Louisiana Purchase had never occurred, the French might have begun a sugar industry, which might have crippled the American economy and the French military at the same time. People wonder if Jefferson would regret making his decision now, because it was against the democratic Republican ideals. Without Thomas Jefferson, the United States would not be as prosperous, large, and influential as it is today. Thank you.